चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै गुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नाम्ने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ईशो इन्वोकेशन। ओम पूर्णम मदः पूर्णमिदम
पूर्णं पूर्णमिदं
पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय
पूर्णमादाय
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते।
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते।
Yes. Just one moment. Would someone like to read this verse?
I would like to read.
Yeah, please read the synonyms also. It's very important.
Okay. So Om is the complete whole. Purnam, perfectly complete. Ada, that. Purnam, perfectly complete. Idam, this phenomenal world. Purnat, from the all perfect. Purnam, complete unit. Udachyate is produced. Purnashya, of the complete whole. Purnam, completely, all. Adaya, having been taken away. Purnam, the complete balance. Eva, even. Avashishyate is remaining. So the translation.
Thank you. Yes, please continue.
If you could little bit roll the screen, yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. The complete whole, or the supreme absolute truth, is the complete personality of Godhead. Realization of impersonal Brahman or of Paramatma, the super soul, is incomplete realization of the absolute supreme. The supreme personality of Godhead is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Realization of impersonal Brahman is realization of his Sat feature, or his aspect of eternity, and Paramatma realization is realization of his Sat and Chit features, his aspects of eternity and knowledge. But the realization of the personality of Godhead is realization of all the transcendental features, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, bliss. When one realizes the Supreme Person, he realizes these aspects of the Absolute Truth in their completeness. Vigraha means form. Thus, the complete whole is not formless. If he were formless, or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he could not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything both within and beyond our experience. Otherwise, he cannot be complete. The complete whole, the personality of Godhead, has immense potencies, all of which are as complete as he is. Thus, the phenomenal world is also complete in itself. The 24 elements of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation are arranged to produce everything necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. No other unit in the universe need make an extraordinary effort to try to maintain the universe. The universe functions on its own time scale, which is fixed by the energy of the complete whole. And when the schedule is completed, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete whole. All facilities are given to the small complete units, namely the living beings, to enable them to realize the complete whole. All forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. The human form of life is a complete manifestation of the consciousness of living being, and it is obtained after evolving through 8,400,000 species of life in the cycle of birth and death. If in this human life of full consciousness, the living entity does not realize his completeness in relation to the complete whole, he loses the chance to realize his completeness and is again put into the evolutionary cycle by the law of material nature. Because we do not know that there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. Because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole, The misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. The hand of a body is a complete unit only as long as it is attached to the complete body. When the hand is severed from the body, it may appear like a hand, but it actually has none of the potencies of a hand. Similarly, living beings are part and parcel of the complete whole, and if they are severed from the complete whole, the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. The completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. All services in this world, whether social, political, communal, international, or even interplanetary, will remain incomplete until they are dovetailed with the complete whole. When everything is dovetailed with the complete whole, the attached parts and parcels also become complete in themselves. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Purnam adah, Purnam idam. So, see, when we study these synonyms or transliterations, we understand the context of Sanskrit. Sanskrit is unlike other languages. Here, words don't have meanings. Here, meanings have words. So, just try to understand this. Sanskrit is not a language, it's a culture. So, if you see, for example, the term used here, idam, Srila Prabhupada translates this as the phenomenal world. Idam means here, this. What is this here? But the context always changes according to the words that are following and the words that have come before. Purnam idam. So this phenomenal word, Purnam, this phenomenal word is complete. So that's what makes Sanskrit so beautiful and also so difficult to understand. And now we are studying Upanishads. So Upanishads are very complex in meaning. That's why Srila Prabhupada has generally not translated Upanishads so much. The complete whole or the supreme absolute truth is the complete personality of Godhead. So Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, Satchid Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Actually, this you can see is like an analogy, is an analogous verse, or rather, I should say, synonymous verse. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. Parama Ishwar, that's Krishna. The absolute truth, that is Krishna. Param Satya. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse, Srila Vyasdev says, Satyam Param Dhimahi. To that absolute truth, I meditate on that absolute truth. Satyam Param Dhimahi. I meditate on that. So, absolute truth means where everything is reconciled. No contradictions. In this world, there are contradictions. For example, a bird eats a fish and then it feeds its babies. So, there's a duality here. There's a contradiction. For the baby bird, the bird is good, all good. It's the mother, it's the all protector. But for the fish, it's an enemy. It's death personified. It's not something nice at all. So there's duality. In this material world, we say jivo jivasya jivanam. One living entity must destroy another one to survive. One life survives on the other. Jivo jivasya jivanam. So there's a contradiction right there. But in the absolute truth, there is no contradiction. The absolute good is the same as absolute bad. The good and bad, everything reconciles in the absolute truth. In the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Gajendra is also saying something similar. That the absolute truth is beyond material conceptions of good or bad. Male, female, nothing. The Lord is everything. Radha and Krishna are not separate. They are one. They are one. They have separated only for their own pleasure. They are one and the same absolute truth. The duality of male and female does not apply to Lord Krishna. Krishna is both the ideal male and the ideal female. He is Purush and he is Prakriti also. So the realization of Lord is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. So what is this absolute truth? It is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That it is eternal, it is conscious, and it is full of pleasure, and it has a form. You can take it in two ways. You can say either it is uh, eternal, conscious, blissful form, or you can say eternal, conscious, blissful with a form. So Krishna is Ananda Vigraha. His form itself is bliss. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized in all these features. So we have seen that the different stages of yogis realize different aspects of the Lord. For example, the yogis, they realize the Paramatma form. The Gyanis, they realize, Jnana yogis, Ashtanga yogi, Hatha yogis see Paramatma. Jnana yogis see the Brahma form. And Karma yogis, they can just they can just see his phenomenal world. In this way, different stages of realizations of the Supreme Lord exist. So everything culminates in the form of the Lord. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakaran Karanam. So he is a Param Ishwar. So from his eternal form, everything else emanates. Both the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma. And most important fact here is that the Absolute exists as a form. Form is a supreme feature. It's not one of the features. It is the supreme feature. So the complete whole, as a complete whole, he contains everything. Like for example, in my body, there may be so many bacteria, so many viruses and fungi and so many things. They are all existing. They have no consciousness of me. They are simply existing. They may be deriving some nutrition, some bacteria may be eating my skin cells or something, and it is deriving some nutrition. But it has no idea that I exist. And yet it exists in me. So just like that, the Supreme Lord encompasses the whole creation, material or spiritual. As we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam second canto, the Supreme Lord expands himself as the Virata Purush manifestation. The Virat Purush manifestation is the material form of the Lord. In other words, we are like small viruses living on the body of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna himself, who has expanded as Balaram, as Sankarshan, as Mahavishnu, Karanodakshai, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and as the Mahat Tattva, as the Pradhan in which we live. So we are literally living on the body of the Supreme Lord. So there is no question of us escaping the Lord. The atheist may deny the Lord out of ignorance because he has no intelligence to comprehend the Lord. Actually, no jiva can comprehend the Lord unless the Lord reveals himself. So, whatever the Lord creates is also perfect. The Lord is perfect. His creations are also perfect. If you are into a little bit into this, you can say this nature hobbies. There are these, I don't know what are these called, these terraforms or terraniums, self-contained terraniums. I don't know what's the specific name for it. So where you seal a fish with a plant inside a bowl with some water and you just seal it completely. And then they can survive till the end of either one of their lifespan. The fish feeds on the plant and the plant feeds on the fish waste and they survive together. They create a biosphere. It's perfect. The fish doesn't need anything. The plant doesn't need anything. They just live. So even in this imperfect consciousness of ours, we can create something like that. The Supreme Lord has created perfect universes. We don't need to go to space to find out something. We don't need to send a ship to moon to find out some soil so that we can survive on Earth. Or we don't need to go to sun to find out something to survive. Whatever is needed is provided here. Even the little bit of sunlight which is needed to sustain life, that is here. Moonlight which is needed to sustain plants and fruits and vegetables, that is also available. This whole biosphere is existing because of the Lord's wish, and it is complete. The living entity doesn't need anything extraneous to maintain himself and to be happy in this material world. And the universe itself is completely set. With Lord Brahma as in charge, this universe is completely set. This universe does not need anything from outside. So why are all these facilities given? All these facilities are given for the jiva to understand that he is a part of that complete whole. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. So amongst all the eternal, there is one eternal. Amongst all the conscious, there is one conscious. And this one eternal conscious sustains all the other eternal conscious. So this living entity is a part of Krishna. Krishna has said, if you remember, we studied in the Bhagavad Gita, Mameva Ansha Jivaloke Jiva Bhoot Sanatana. So all these living entities are my parts and parcels, and therefore they are complete. So this analogy that we have discussed previously also, that little creeks in the ocean, they derive their water from the ocean. These creeks they don't resemble ocean in any way. Very shallow. Like for example, if you go to Bombay in India, there is this very long, some 11-kilometer long creek called the Vashi Creek. And that creek is maybe 2 or 3 meters deep, but it is connected to the big Arabian Sea, which is a part of the Indian Ocean. And Indian Ocean is like 4 kilometers deep, full of water, raging storms and everything. And this creek is even more docile than a river. You can't even drown in that creek. It's so shallow. But it is a part of the ocean. The ocean feeds water to the creek. When there is a high tide in the ocean, the creek also has high tide. When there's low tide in the ocean, the creek also has low tide. But the creek is getting its existence because it is connected to the ocean. Living entity is deriving his consciousness from the Supreme, who is complete. So if this creek somehow or the other is cut off from the ocean, it will eventually dry up. If you see the salt pans, this is what they do. They take a portion of the sea and they just seal it off, and then the water in that part gradually dries off and leaves salt behind. So it's the living entity. But why do we get the salt? Because the water dries up. And why does the water dry up? Because it is no longer connected to the sea. So the living entity also is connected to the Supreme. If this living entity is cut off from the Supreme, its existence dries up. That's why we have this 8.4 million species of life. And in these 8.4 million species, beginning from Lord Brahma downwards, consciousness is gradually degrading. Actually, Srila Prabhupada says that there is consciousness even in stones. Atoms also have Paramatma. But consciousness is practically gone. So if you see, for example, viruses, no one even knows whether they are living or non-living. They exhibit the characteristics of living when they are in contact with a living host. But if that host is taken away, viruses exhibit no symptoms of life. That is also a type of consciousness. But that consciousness is so low, so covered over with ignorance, that there is practically no symptom of life even. If you see, for example, a human being, the human being is conscious. If you ask what is your hobby, what is your happiness, what makes you unhappy, the human being will tell you his whole life story. But if you talk to a donkey has no happiness, no unhappiness. For example, if you talk harshly to a human being, he will never forgive you and may never come back to you. But if you throw a stone at a dog, the dog will run away. But next day when he sees you, he'll again come back to ask for some food. So you can see the consciousness is so low in that sense. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains different degrees of lust covering the consciousness of the living entity. So what are those degrees of lust? So in these different degrees of lust, the living entity is covered over to different grades, just like he says, the dust covering the mirror, or the smoke covering a fire, or the embryo covering the womb. So Srila Prabhupada gives that analogy that this is different grades of coverings of consciousness. So animals, plants, their consciousness is practically gone. They're like animals exhibit consciousness, but plants are practically dead. Plants don't even exhibit any consciousness, and yet they're alive. So the more the living entity is cut off from the supreme whole, the less he exhibits his consciousness. This whole cycle of 8.4 million species is to remind the living entity to re-establish his connection with the Supreme. In every species of life, a particular type of desire is fulfilled, and a particular type of punishment is also given. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, old age, disease, and death, they are tormenting every living entity in every species of life. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, A Brahma Bhuvanal Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. So, A Brahma Bhuvanal Loka. So, from the planet of Brahma down to the lowest planet, Bhuvanal Loka. Punaravartino Arjuna. Again birth and again death. Always some enjoyment and some suffering. Actually, even the demigods are suffering when their time of death comes. When demigods have to leave the heavenly planets, they are very unhappy because the standard of happiness is so high there. Life is so perfect. that they feel unhappiness, great unhappiness when they have to leave and come to Mrityu Lok. Kshina punya martya lokam vishanti. When time is over, when punya is finished, the demigod has to come back to material world, full of death and misery. So demigods don't like that, but they have to undergo that also. So even in the demigod form of life, there is no escaping birth and death. So so every species of life is meant to give this punishment, but it is not a punishment. The Lord is not some kind of cruel, tyrant. Sometimes when we study the Abrahamic scriptures, we get this idea that Lord is some kind of a cruel and envious personality who's punishing others. But that's not how Upanishads put it. The living entity, out of his own ignorance, takes to this material world and the material nature. Maya Jakshena Prakriti Suyate Sucharacharam. Under the directions of the Supreme, is teaching different lessons. Because to go back to Godhead, to become eternal again, the living entity has to do it voluntarily. Mama eva ye prapadyante punarjanmana vidyate. This is what Krishna is saying. Mama eva ye prapadyante, one who surrenders, but surrender in loving devotion. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. One who loves me, one who surrenders lovingly. Not that surrender. Krishna doesn't want us to surrender out of fear and force. He can do that. He can slap all of us and absorb us in Brahman. Satchidanand. But Satchit actually. But that is not what he wants. Unless we surrender willingly, we cannot escape this cycle. So this universe is created in such a way that we can understand the nature of the absolute truth simply by observing this nature. Srila Prabhupada explains that if you want to understand Krishna, just observe your own nature. Just observe your own consciousness and you will become purified. So that is the nature of this material world. So here there is a plenty of opportunity to absorb oneself in the absolute. How do we do that? Simply by simply by surrendering all our activities to the Supreme. Yad karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yad. So whatever you are doing, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you do as a sacrifice, do it as a sacrifice to me. You have to cook for your sustenance. Cook and offer to me. I will give it back to you, but I'll purify it also. This is what Krishna is saying. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. So food, flower, a leaf, some water, something the living entity can offer. And Krishna will purify the living entity. So, sevon mukhe hi jivado evam spuratyada. So simply by engaging the tongue, one can go back to Godhead. But this tongue, the fruit, the flower, everything, where is it coming from? That's coming from material nature. That's why the material nature is considered perfect. It is perfect because it connects you to the perfect. One may say, hey, I am seeing so many demigods, but they are not perfect. I am seeing my own nature. I am not perfect. My parents are not perfect. Everything is imperfect in this world. Then why are we calling it perfect? We are calling it perfect because using the facilities of this material nature, you can become connected to the perfect. Therefore, it is perfect. A small key of your car will not drive you. If you just hold the key of your car in your hand and you try to drive from Ylivaska to Helsinki, you can't do that. But that key, when it is put in the car, it becomes perfect because the car can run. Because without that key, neither the car nor the key will run, nor will you reach anywhere. On their own, everything is incomplete. But when they're connected with the absolute, they become perfect. So the arrangement of material nature is such that it connects us with the perfect, and therefore it is considered perfect. That's why Purnam Idam, this word is being used. Purnam Idam. It is also complete. And this completeness is realized when you are connected. As soon as you become a pure devotee of the Lord, as soon as you are able to see the absolute truth, you will see perfection in everything. You'll actually realize perfection in everything. So as soon as anything is connected with Krishna, it becomes perfect. So just like the example of the creek, when it is connected with the ocean, it is like ocean. But when it is cut off, you end up getting some salt pan. Then the water is gone. The hand, without being connected to the body, will not even function as a hand. The living entity, when he is disconnected from the Lord, under the influence of the three modes of nature, he becomes more and more disconnected and eventually ceases to show any symptom of life itself. Like we take the example of bacteria or virus, practically no consciousness. We feel very unhappy if we get some, someone says, doctor says, oh, you have bacterial infection. We immediately take some antibiotic to kill the bacteria. But the poor bacteria down there doesn't even have any idea of what it is doing. It just eats and lives and dies. And you send some poison in the form of antibiotic and it simply dies. It doesn't even know why it died. That is the level of unconsciousness. The more one sinks into the material world, the more one disconnects from the material, from Krishna, the more the influence of the material, the modes of nature, especially passion and ignorance, increases, and the more one becomes disconnected from the Lord. But if one dovetails everything, even the mode of passion, to Krishna's service, one can become completely perfect, and therefore, even these modes of nature are to be considered perfect. Because used in the service of Krishna, they will help one climb out of this material nature. A person who has fallen on the ground needs the support of the ground only to get up. A person drowning in water pushes against the water only to stay alive. So a person drowning in the material nature can use the material nature to escape its clutches. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions or comments, please?
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Oh,
You can go first.
no, you can go ahead, Prabhuji. कोई बात नहीं. You can go ahead.
Okay, Hare Krishna, thanks. Now, basically, I had many questions, but you have answered most of them during that speech, and that was very enlightening. Still, there are two kind of doubts remaining. And the first one is that, of course, as you say, that we reach the supreme through having extensive that knowledge and developing the love of Godhead, and that is, of course, that very high level of devotion. And then you get a chance to get back to spiritual world. But still, even that understanding that the soul is accumulating through thousands of cycles or millions, all that spiritual knowledge that is slowly accumulating, and still the initial motivation basically always is to escape the cruelty of this world, to escape this misery. So that motivation by itself is slightly selfish. Of course, we can probably admit that it is a little bit selfish, because we just want to escape to safety, to Krishna and to his lotus feet, where we are forever happy. So the motivation is to run away from misery. So it's a very, very basic instinct. And then the second thing that I'm puzzled about is that I was like just thinking that when you also explain about demigods and their position, that still they would die and go back to the lower planets. As I understand from like half a year ago, our conversations, that there are also cases when demigods are going back to spiritual world if they are actually doing great service for Krishna. And then I was thinking that perhaps that is even the best time of the soul, because in that moment when the soul is a demigod and doing great service for Krishna and has full realization of supreme position of Krishna and also what his duties are. But as I understand, when the soul is put back to the spiritual world, Krishna again puts a sort of illusion that the soul doesn't understand that Krishna is Krishna. So, as you have explained about the village of like Vrindavan, like the spiritual village, where they are all a little bit of in this, I wouldn't call it ignorance, but they still don't even understand the supreme position of Krishna like fully. So maybe the best place is to be a demigod who is serving Krishna perfectly. So the best time for a soul, because he understands everything.
Nice question. So that's a slightly, I would say, a slightly more advanced topic. I can just speak from my knowledge, but not from realization on this matter. So regarding the first point, yes, can one go back to Godhead from this material nature? So first question, I think the first point of yours was to have this kind of selfish desire to escape this material misery. Yes, that is perfectly all right. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said that, to try not to repeat the cycle of birth and death. So that prayer is completely all right. That's your right to ask this question. Shrimad Bhagavatam says, Akama sarvo kamava moksh kamudaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. So whether you have no desires or you have all the desires or you even desire to become free from this material nature, moksha kamudaradhi. One should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yes, so in the beginning stages of bhakti, to become free from the cycle of birth and death is not wrong at all. It's perfectly fine. Kunti Devi is praying that, oh Lord, give us more miseries so that we can maintain your association. Prabhupada says, this is not our prayer. We don't want that. Please, that's it. Let's get rid of miseries first. We're in a horrible condition. So it's all right. It's all right to pray for deathlessness. It's all right to be free from the fear of birth and death. So that's all right. It's spiritual. Nothing to worry about. In the later stages of bhakti, when you are more advanced, you will understand that birth and death itself is nothing. That's an illusion. But until such stage, you should pray for freedom from death. So that's completely all right. Nothing wrong with that. It may appear selfish, but it's all right. When you are completely in love with Krishna, you will give up this consideration. And Krishna will ensure that also. So you don't need to worry about that. But at the beginning, you please pray for liberation from this material nature to Krishna. Don't pray to Brahman or anything. Pray to Krishna to deliver you from the cycle of birth and death. Now, coming to the second point of heavenly planets. So, yes, there is very much possibility. When Srila Prabhupada was asked about Vishnunandan Swami, Prabhupada said that. He said, yes, he has gone to heavenly planets because he still had some desires not fulfilled. He has gone to heavenly planets and he will do Sankirtan there. And from there, he will gradually go back to Godhead. So, nothing wrong. And why should it not be? Because if you see, in the heavenly planets, we have Narad Muni, Angira Rishi, Kashyap, Durvasa, all these devotees of the Lord, they are traveling these places. Certainly, if you are a devotee, you will recognize them. See, there are different grades of demigods also. Very pious people who have just done some, like once one of my god brothers, he was in South India. He went to South India and he saw these Naishtika brahmacharis performing austerities on the banks of some South Indian river. And he asked them, why are you doing this? They said, oh, we are Yajnavalka Brahmanas. We are performing austerities because in this material world, these ladies are obnoxious, dirty, bad smelling, ugly looking. So we'll go to heavenly planets and there we will enjoy with females. Because, that's the standard. And it's very valid also, Prabhu. Which brings us to the second point about the dangers of heavenly planets. In this material world, you may fall in love with some beautiful woman, but that beauty is just skin deep. If she doesn't brush her teeth, her mouth will smell foul. If she doesn't take a bath, her body will smell foul, and she'll pass out so many obnoxious substances. So that's just like a very thin covering of illusion. But in the heavenly planets, there are no such considerations. In the eighth canto of Bhagavatam, we read that the heavenly damsels come to the mountain of Trikuta to take bath in the lakes and rivers there, and their bodies are fragrant. When they take bath in the river becomes fragrant. Lakes and rivers, they become fragrant when they take bath. Here, if a lady takes bath, the water becomes obnoxious. So imagine this standard of happiness in the heavenly planets. Innumerable varieties of flowers and fruits and beautiful damsels. So why should not one want to enjoy that? We're struggling with Maya in this world. Cars. What are cars really? They're ugly metal contraptions which are very dangerous also. Smelly. I mean, to someone who doesn't like cars, petrol, diesel, grease, they smell horrendous. But someone who loves this is like, very attractive perfume. So this is different grades of illusion. I mean, I also fall into that grades. But this is illusion. This is illusion. So in the heavenly planets, this illusion is also very light. It's like, it deepens actually. It becomes very deep because everything looks so pleasant. So that distraction is also very high. But still, because great sages are visiting, one will immediately recognize them. And one will take their association and one can go back to Godhead from there. So that is perfectly fine. But one should not pray to go there. No, why should we? The illusion in spiritual world is very different from the illusion here. That's Yoga Maya, Krishna's own energy. When your nature is completely purified, when you are free from greed, anger, envy, lust, and you go back to Godhead. Krishna is your best friend. Imagine now you're living with your partner. Will you think of cheating on her? Okay, forget it. She doesn't know what I do in the daytime. I can do whatever I feel like. Or maybe she has so much money, I can maybe shoot her and steal her wealth. Will you think like that? And that's just material world. And it actually happens in this material world. But you can't think of that. An ethical person will never think such an obnoxious thought. So, in the spiritual world, our consciousness is completely purified. In this material world, you can't think like this because you are in the mode of goodness. So, such horrible thoughts do not cross your mind. In the spiritual world, you have no trace of passion and ignorance. So, when you see Krishna, your heart will melt. You wouldn't want anything but Krishna. So, to address this logical fallacy of someone who may want to fall back from spiritual world after having gone from here, first of all, Krishna is promising, Tyaktva deham punarjanmaneti. One who leaves this world does not come. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dham paramam mama. Twice Krishna is saying. So, to address this fallacy, first of all, you will have knowledge of material world, so you know how bad it was, so you wouldn't want to come. Second thing is Krishna is so blissful. And third thing, which is the most important point, Krishna is Sat Chit Anand. What is giving you Anand in this life? Let's discuss everything. Cars, food, home, sex life, all these are the sources of happiness, right? Krishna is the origin of everything. Imagine if you're thirsty and you come to me, Prabhu, I am feeling thirsty, and I give you one, say, thimble or maybe one peg of water. Here, take 2 sips. You may drink it because you need that, but you will not be satisfied. But suppose I take you to a waterfall. Here, 1000 liter of water is falling every second. You can never remain thirsty there. You wouldn't say, okay, let's leave this and let's take one thimble of water. So you see, Krishna is the origin of all happiness, spiritual and material. Once you have attained Krishna, you won't have any need for happiness left in your life. You won't have any extraneous desire to enjoy other happiness. Krishna is the origin of all. So to put it very, very crudely, if you enjoy driving a car, that happiness is coming from Krishna. Being with Krishna will automatically fulfill that desire of yours at a spiritual level. You will not desire to come back to material world to drive an Audi. Okay. Does that answer all your questions, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, yeah, thank you. Great explanations. Dhanyavad pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Anu Mataji, you had a question also, I think.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam ji. Prabhuji, you made a point. You said Satchitananda form or Satchitananda with a form. Is there difference?
Like, I didn't get you.
Is there any difference
yeah.
when you said you can consider either or?
Yeah, you can say Sat Chit Ananda Vigrah, that he is eternal, conscious, blissful, and having a form. Or you can say that his form is eternal, conscious, and full of bliss. Both the meanings are completely applicable to Krishna. His form is Satchidananda. And you can also say that he is Satchidananda with a form.
Satchitananda form. Okay, theek hai ji. Also, one point, depending upon the desire of a devotee, some might just want it to get into Brahman, so just that piece. Some might just want to get to realization of Paramatma feature. And devotional service leads to absolute truth. So, depending upon the realization, everybody is led to different aspect of Krishna's Satchitanand form. Would that be the right way to understand?
Yes. So, see, Krishna is most merciful. Whatever you desire. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. So, Krishna, that's actually, that's a very valid point. It's not such a frivolous question. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur answers this. He says that a devotee should be very cautious to weed out all these desires from his heart. Because Krishna will fulfill.
Yes.
So while becoming a devotee, we may have many illicit desires in our heart. Krishna will fulfill it. Okay, you want to enjoy sex life? No problem. Go to heavenly planet. In this material world, like this Martya Lok, this earthly planet is obnoxious. There's no enjoyment here really.
Mhm.
But in heavenly planets, it is unlimited. That Somaras is meant for that only.
Mhm.
In this material world, in this middle planetary system, sex life is abominable. But in the heavenly planets, it is like very exalted. So why should one have that desire? Krishna will fulfill it. Krishna has everything. He's like, you go to a shopping mall and you say, I need a 16-inch nail. He says, oh, yeah, yeah, please, here. Everything is there. So
Yes.
don't ask Krishna for anything.
Yes.
You have to be very careful. And this is very dangerous. Like Prabhupada, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that even after liberation, an aspiring devotee of Krishna may become attracted to the opulence of Vaikuntha and may end up in Narayan Lok.
Mm.
Now, I don't know what
Mm.
that means really, because I am not
Mhm.
liberated. But apparently, there is a danger like that also. Because Krishna may even show you Narayan form. He did that. Remember, he did that to gopis.
Yes. Yes.
He he disappeared
Mm.
and he appeared as Narayan. Okay,
Mhm.
my dear gopis, what do you want from
Mhm.
me? And they offered obeisance. Oh Lord Narayan, say, well, we don't want you. We just want Krishna.
Mhm. That's true. Mm.
But imagine our condition. We are burning in this
Mm.
material world. And
Mhm.
Narayan comes and says, what do you want, child? Will say, please take me out. He'll say,
Yes,
please
we'll be
come.
like, yes, yes. So
That's
then,
also a danger.
then the question again comes that
Huh,
knowing the stage we are at, and it's very hard to
huh,
become
huh,
the stage we are at. It's gonna, of course, take time to get through all the desires, like to weed them
hmm.
out one by one, one by one. Till then, till then, we are not going anywhere. Meaning, till then, we better be here rather than going somewhere else. No.
Yeah, that's correct.
क्योंकि otherwise
Na
it's very
dhanam na
risky.
janam.
What's the point? Hmm.
That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. So, okay, let's just analyze this a little bit because now our discussion will be a bit deeper.
Mhm.
See, what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying? Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreya kairava chandrika vitranam vidyavadhu jivanam
Mhm.
anandambudhi vardhanam pratipadam purnamrita aswadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So he explains all the glories of the holy name and he says param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So always
Mhm.
chant this holy name of Krishna. Then he gives the mood in which to chant, Tranadapi Sunichen Tarori Sahishnuna.
Mhm.
Then he says
Mhm.
Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarvashaktis. So he's explaining the glory of the name. First he says what Krishna Sankirtan does. Then he explains that Krishna Sankirtan can be of any type.
Mhm.
Namnamakari Bahuda Nija Sarvashaktis.
Mhm.
Tatrarpita Niyamita Smarane Nakala. एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैव
Mhm.
ईदृशम इहाजनि नानुरागा. That your holy name has, you have many holy names and all of them are equally potent. It is my misfortune that, and there are no rules and there is no timing for
Mhm.
chanting these names, but it is my misfortune that I am not able to chant. I am not
Mhm.
attracted, na anuraga.
Mhm.
Then he gives the mood in which to chant. Now these two verses which we are going to discuss, these will be very important. uh, you know uh, तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोर इव सहिष्णुना
Mhm.
अमानिनः मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरि. Trinadapi Sunichen, more humble than a blade of grass. Taror eva sahishnuna, more tolerant than a tree.
Mhm.
Amaninaha manadena. Now, this is the most difficult part. Giving honor to
Yes.
everyone and even those who do not honor us.
Yes.
Amaninaha manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. In this mood, we can
Mhm.
always think of Krishna.
Mhm.
We can always chant Krishna's name. Now,
Mhm.
this is very important aspect here. When you are thinking like this, when you are tolerating everything, when you are more humble, not thinking that I deserve this, I deserve that.
Mhm.
And when you are able to even forgive those who are insulting you,
Mhm.
then you can chant for Krishna's name because at that stage you are completely unattached to
Ended.
this world. You are fully
Mhm.
detached.
Mhm.
You don't think this world to be anything. Now
Mhm.
imagine like some Pakistanis may be cursing Indians. Indians are this, Indian that, oh, Indian this, Indian that. I don't live there. I don't even know these Pakistanis. I'll just say, okay, whatever. I am completely detached from that conception. Okay.
Mhm.
So I am not affected by it. That means to
Yes.
reach that stage, you have to become completely unattached to this world.
Mhm.
So
So
you
then
understand this.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So then you are able to chant the holy names of the Lord. Then what is Krishna? So in this stage, when you are already there, so what happens then? Then you can think of Krishna all the time. Then you are not attracted to anything related to this
Material
way
world.
to.
Material
Yeah.
world. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then in that case, you are like at the stage of liberation. Okay. So then what is the fourth verse of Chaitanya Shikshashtaka? So let us see what is the fourth verse. I'm not remembering that right now. Uh, uh, wait.
I can open
Can anyone open that verse?
it. जी, opening it. Prabhu.
Just a moment. Let us see Shikshamrit here. Wait, Shikshashtakam, what is that? No, this is not correct.
Param is Khan. Fourth wala hai. It is
हाँ
na dhanam. The fourth one is na dhanam na janam na
हाँ, न
sundaram.
धनम न जनम न सुंदरीम. Now, this is a very important verse. न धनम न जनम न सुंदरीम कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद भक्तिर हेतुकी त्वयि. So now this point, न धनम न जनम न सुंदरीम. So then do not desire anything extraneous also. One may be very humble. One may desire anything. One may not be affected by anything, but one may still have some desire.
Yes.
Okay, you have all these Bollywood movies of silent lovers or broken-hearted lovers who are just silently crying. You have like two kinds of Bollywood heroes: those who are chasing the heroine and fighting, and those who are like silently crying. So you can say that the silently crying hero is more like a yogi, na dhanam, like, Trinadapi Suniche, okay, someone else took away my girl, I'll just sit here and cry. Trinadapi Suniche. So no, one may be humble, but one may still have desires. So now
Yes.
Mahaprabhu clarifies, na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Mama janamani janmanishware bhavatad bhaktir ahaituki tvayi. This word ahaituki. Ahetuki. Krishna, you may give me everything, but I don't want anything from you. I just want you. And this is what Srila Prabhupada explains in his teachings, that Krishna will tempt you with so many things in this world. Don't accept anything from Krishna. And when Krishna is helpless, he will have no choice but to offer himself to you.
So then what does he mean by do not accept? Do you even have a
Well,
choice?
yes, don't accept anything. Krishna appeared as
Don't
Narayan in front
ask.
of gopis.
That is true.
Lord Narayan asked gopis. He said, okay, what do you want? I'll give you anything you want. They said, yeah, please tell us where Krishna is. Imagine the gopis. If I were in place of Gopi, I would have probably said, okay, my lord, now you're already here, just deliver me.
That's true.
Okay, I can do this Ras Leela later also, but please let me out, let me out.
No, that's true.
See, all of us, aren't we in that condition? Suffering
We
from
are.
some problem or the other. So you
That is
see
true.
how dangerous. The real danger is not in this material world. The real danger is in our consciousness.
So Prabhuji, I actually honestly feel that if these situations were not there, we won't be in devotion anyways, no?
Yeah. Yes.
So it's kind of a
Well,
blessing in disguise too.
okay, I will give you my own example, Mataji. What to speak of anyone else? I'll give you my own example. My desire as a child was to study mechanical engineering, preferably from an IIT or anywhere else decent enough, and go to America and study automotive engineering. That's it. Nothing else. That was it. One pointed. Eke he kuru nandana. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. That was my intelligence. And Krishna ensured that my intelligence got completely covered over. I was doing very well in the preliminary stages. I was clearing all the tests and everything, and even my teachers thought that I will be clearing IIT entrance and everything. And suddenly around 93, 94, 93, my father got cancer and I became panicky. My intelligence completely died out. My interest in studies kind of died out, and I just struggled. Eventually, I ended up with electrical engineering.
Mhm.
And there I met devotees, I met brahmacharis. And then I realized how much Krishna has done to save me from this hellish condition.
Yes.
If I
Mhm.
would have done that, I would have I would have never taken to devotion. I can tell you,
Yes.
Mataji, if I were in automotive industry,
100%.
I,
Mhm.
yeah, I would be a bachelor. I would not be a grahastha because I had no need for anything. I would have lived in an apartment with no furniture. My
Yes.
Brahma would be this auto industry.
Mhm. That is true. That is very
I
well
needed
said,
nothing.
Prabhuji. Very true. Hmm.
I could have lived in a cave wearing a gamcha because my
Mhm.
desires were fulfilled,
Were
would be
fulfilled.
fulfilled.
Mhm.
But
True.
Krishna deliberately kept all of that away from me. He completely obscured
Yes.
my intelligence.
Mhm.
And even now, if I desire to do something, Krishna just baffles it and doesn't let me out of line.
Mhm. Hari
Not
bol.
that I am
That is
pure or
how it
anything.
should be. Hmm.
Yeah. So you see,
Mhm.
so Krishna sometimes does not fulfill our desires to save us only.
Mhm.
He saves us from ourselves.
Mhm. Very well
So
said.
we should pray to Krishna to save us. Krishna,
Hmm.
Krishna, Raksha Mam. Raksha Mam from me,
Yes.
myself. There is no danger
Because
in this
we
world.
don't, yes, that is true. That is true. Because we don't know what to even ask for. Very well
Yes.
said, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, Krishna saved me there. Then there was another girl I wanted to marry against
Mhm.
like kind of my own wishes only. But Krishna saved me there also.
Hmm.
This is like many, many years ago. God, like
Mhm.
the memory is also gone like maybe 25, 30 years ago. I've forgotten.
Mhm. Mhm.
But Krishna saved me. So Krishna saves
Yes.
us.
Mhm.
So we should pray to Krishna that, keep saving me from myself. I am my own
Yes.
greatest enemy.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That was beautifully explained. Hare Krishna ji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Smriti Mataji, you have a question also.
Yes. So I had one small question. One second. What was my question? Yeah. Is it truly selfish to want to escape? This material world.
Hmm? Hmm?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, now.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. 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 So my question is it truly selfish to have the desire to escape the cycle of birth and death? Is it a selfish thought to, attain moksha or to work towards it?
No, that's a good point. At this stage, no. At this stage, no. In a war, a soldier first tries to save himself, then he can save others. If you're drowning in an ocean, better to save yourself first, then you can save others. So, from a very high perspective of bhakti, yes, one may not even desire liberation. One does not desire anything. Mama janmani janmanishware bhavtat bhakti rahetu ki tvai. I just want to serve you life after life. I don't even want liberation. But Srila Prabhupada tells us that at this stage of bhakti, it's completely fine to desire for liberation also from material nature. But of course, liberation means devotion to Krishna only. The moksha or the Brahma Nirvana that people talk of is not permanent. Yogis may enter into Brahman, but they can again fall down into this material world because they have not completely attached themselves to the absolute truth. Brahman is partial absolute truth, it's not complete absolute truth.
So Brahman is
So,
enlightenment stage, correct?
yes,
It is the
yeah,
liberation
but
stage.
yes, Brahman is enlightenment stage, but there is no Ananda there. As soon as there is a little bit of desire for Ananda, immediately material world will manifest and will fall down again.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Mhm.
So, yes, at this stage you should pray, but pray to Krishna only. Like, don't do some yoga practices, don't go to Himalayas or meditate on Brahma. Just meditate on Krishna, even if you want liberation. Krishna knows what is best for you and he will give you that.
True, that is beautifully put. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, so maybe we stop here today. So, we have with us our very old devotee, Pranav Prabhu, Pranav Kulkarni Prabhu. He was at the very beginning with us. We started off in 2020 together, Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was away for some time. He had some other obligations, but now he has rejoined us from today. So he'll be a regular feature with us. He has been conducting Bhagavad Gita in Marathi, and he has done it for 2-3 years. He has cultivated many devotees in India, and he has helped us in preaching programs in here in Finland, in Bombay, Maharashtra, and he's coordinated all these. So essentially, he was the one who pioneered this whole setup. So, and so he'll be a regular feature. Yes, Pranav, would you like to say something? Okay, so then we stop here today. We continue. No, Prabhu, you're not audible. I think you're still muted in the system. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, we still can't
Hare
hear you.
Krishna. Can you hear
Oh,
me
yeah,
now?
now. Yes, now.
Sorry. Yeah, I know I was just saying you give me too much credit. But thank you for having me.
So this is a all new group for you, Prabhu. So Samin
Yes,
Prabhu
Prabhu.
here is from Ylivaska, which is near Oulu, around 600 kilometers from Helsinki, 500
Mm-hmm.
kilometers from Helsinki. Smriti Mataji is from Cincinnati.
Okay.
So she has also very interesting history. We knew each other 13 years ago.
Okay.
We were working together in one company called Network 18, and she has a very long journey. She's done